Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. We are trying to help you win your fantasy football drafts for this year. This is lesson 73. We are looking at the running back, looking at 2015 to 2020, a deep look at the ADP, the end of season draft patterns, these kind of things for a PPR draft. 1 point. Uh, I did talk about the quarterback in the previous lesson, and before that, I talked about all the positions kind of in general in a landscape view. So I would go review those lessons before you come in here and start taking your notes. And, obviously your final test will be your draft. Okay, so this is the ADP, top 24, and then the year for the running back, 2015 to 2020. Over here is the PPR, fantasy points per game. The top five ADP positions are shown in the red circles. So this is end of season, right? ADP is preseason. So people say you can't predict end of season by ADPs. There is a pretty good correlation here if you look at the data. So I would disagree with that blanket statement. Kind of a trend, but obviously, individually there can be some issues, but as a trend, ADP is probably the best measurement on average, wisdom of the crowd concept. But here it is, the top over the last 6 years have been 2, 3, 5, 10, and 11. So if you pick the running backs in those ADPs, you came out above everybody else on average. I also circled per year the top five, so you can see how long the top five last. In 2015, it went down to the 16th running back. 2016 went to the 17th. 2017, great year. It only went down to the 11th. So if you waited too late, you were not going to get one of the top five. 2018 was the 10th, so it was a good year. 2019 was the worst year on record. You went all the way down to the 22nd. So people are thinking, oh, I can, grab one, get me a zero RB concept. I think the zero RB is going to work best in this range here. And I think in that range and below, you're probably going to get surprised more than not. So if I was doing the running back thing, zero RB, and you still wanted a top five, you wouldn't go past the 17th pick. And even then, it starts getting a little slim. I color coded the numbers, and of course, in yellow or blank is a failure pretty much, so you can see failures here and kind of just get a feel for it. Like I said, there's no guarantee that any of the so-called top 5 or 6 you're going to get complete success every year. There has been failures. Okay, so QBs were a little different, a lot more steady, but with the running backs, I think the concept is injuries and things are an issue, and we cannot ignore that. And like I said, on average, if you go past the 11th pick, you're not going to get one of the top five, on average. yes, I see that there are examples, but if you look at 12 through say 22nd, we're talking what, 6? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. So we're talking 6 out of 60. So 10% chance from 12 to 22 that you will grab one of the remaining top fives. Okay, 6% chance. I'm sorry, 10% chance. So 10 people picking in your league, right, from 12th to 22nd, one of them is going to get one, okay, on average. Okay, some years you've been able to get 2. 2017-18 you got 0. 2019 you got actually 2 in that range. In 2015 you got 2, and last year you would have only gotten 1. So it does get slim, okay? And when you're doing 0 RB, you're probably getting forced down into this world here, even maybe towards past the 24th pick, and it's lean. So that means for the 0 RB, you've got to pick up tight ends, quarterback, and a couple wide receivers that are just so great that they're going to make up for the deficit that you're going to encounter here. Okay, so that, there's some other caveats to it, but here's the data. Okay, you can argue what it means, but I'm looking at it and I know what it tells me on average. Okay, so it is what it is, and here's the data. So you can do a lot of hand waving, and well, this year it's different. Uh, Anything can happen, but the laws of big numbers and averages usually, if you've got enough sample sizes, you start getting pretty confident about what is going to happen. And having 6 years of data times 66 picks, you start to get the feel here, right? So you're talking 3, 4, 7, 12, 15, 17, 20, 24. So 24 out of, what does that say, 66. So what was it, to about a third? So 33, 35, 40% chance of grabbing a top 5 in ADP 1 to 11 versus 10% chance 12th through 22nd. Okay, so you got 3 times better shot at grabbing a nice RB before a pick 12 than after. Okay, so that's just kind of what it is. I understand there's some exceptions. Maybe you're that good. If you are, great. Don't listen to me. I just like to look at averages and consider, right? Uh, Here's 25th through 62nd. Pretty desolate area here. There's a few above 20. Right, here's one. Here's one. So there have been a few diamonds in the rough, but boy, it's a wasteland. A lot of failures going on, right? So you can find them, but look at all the failures, right? So it gets real lean in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round RBs. Okay, lean. Okay, and here's some averages there. So about the 42nd here, you can see that the averages just get suckful here, and you're at this point, what is that? 1%, 2%, 5%. You're not getting much. 100 players, you might get 5 of them that are going to do well for you. well, meaning not in the top 5, but just enough that you're beating your competition. So if you want to apply research, I mean, obviously it pays to go in this range and pick some of these hot dogs that people are missing. And maybe due to injuries, these RBs come in. People play that game, the handcuff concept. I got it. So what you're looking for is something like that in the third, fourth, fifth rounds RBs. Okay, here's the actual data. Okay, so I circled in green with the ADPs above 19, I believe. So I just kind of remind you of the top, and I circled above 19. So after the 24th pick, you got only 2 that have scored above, what, 19 and a half? Actually, I missed one here. My bad. 3. 3. Okay, actually, well, John. Okay, so I missed 4. Okay, missed 4. That's a lot of failures. I say, look at the yellow. Okay, yes, some years were very intriguing. 2016 was a very intriguing year. 2019 was kind of the opposite here. Lots of failures here. It's like it ran out. Okay, last year, lots of failures here. Okay, lots of failures. So you need to have an understanding what you're up against in your draft. Okay, you're probably overly optimistic about your skills. You're probably over optimistic about your picks and what they're going to do for you. Okay, so you just need to be aware of that. And I suggest research, research, research as a way to try to get around that optimism. Relying on numbers, not gut feelings, and or somebody said on the internet. Those are probably not going to work out for you, right? Clickbait is not your friend, okay? Regardless of how, hot takes and all these other words that is dressed up, it is what it is, and here's the actual data. Okay, so I did another mental exercise here. I looked at the RBs from 2015 to 20, and I asked the question, how many or how far down do you have to go to grab the top running back? And it turns out 2. Okay, in 18 and 20, again, this is fantasy points per game. This is not season total here. So I'm trying to get the injury out of that as much as possible. I understand there's injuries. I understand the injury does make a difference. I got that. I'm trying to do something different here, and I'm trying to get around that. It's trying to be so-called injury agnostic here. To pick the top 2, you have to go down as far as 5. Top 3, you have to go down to as far as 14. Top 4, down to 16. Top 5, you would have to include down to 52. Notice last year was and 18 were the 2 best years. So if you judge by 2020, you're going to have an unrealistic view of, the preceding 5-6 years. Okay, you'll think, wow, it's, easy pickings. So maybe 2021 is like 2017. Okay, so you're going deeper to try to find some bargains. I graphed it as well. Down below, the yellow is top, red is second. So you're pretty much pretty steady here. In the top 5, you're getting at least 2 of the top running backs. So you got what is that, a 40% chance in the top 5. So if you got draft pick 1 to 5, you got a 40% chance of grabbing one of the top 2. That means you got a 60% chance you won't. Okay, so it depends on if you're an optimist or a pessimist, right? 3 and 4 look a lot alike to me when I graph them. Okay, you may have to go down to the mid second tier, right, to the 16th pick. And to make sure you grabbed all 5, again, you're down to, in 2017, 52nd running back to finally grab the top 5. So there, it starts to get really variable, including all that. So the one that everybody's looking for is that last top 5 out of the gate there. That's the one that everybody's trying to hunt. The 0 RB people are hunting them. Everybody's hunting them. Okay? But look at the variation. Look at the how deep you might have to go. Look at your research. How far should you go down in researching? If you looked at 2020, you'd go to the, top 14 or so. And you'd say, okay, I'm done. But if it's 2017, you're going, 40 more picks. So, it can be quite daunting to pick that diamond in the rough, regardless of what people would have you believe, that it's like easy to collect that, and it's really not. So I like this. And so another way is a mental exercise. ADP position necessary to acquire 3 of the top 5. So I just said, how deep do I have to go to find 3 of the top 5? 2015 was 14, 16 was 5, 17 was 10, 18 was 6, 19 was 9, 2020 was 5. So 3 years, 5 or 6, you were grabbing, the top 5, 3 of them. So basically 3 out of 5, right? 60% of the RBs were in the top 5. But the other years, you're talking, 30%, 14, 10, and 9 even. Okay, so much harder. So is 2021 going to be like 2020, or is it going to be like 2015? People forget, well, that was years ago. It doesn't apply now, right? Okay. Hopefully that's not what you're thinking. I'm just saying, people won't even bring it up. They're looking at last year. Okay. People talk about recency bias. Well, people, when they do their research, have that bias as well. That's why I try to give you a visual foundation, then you do your work, and you're planning, then you do your work. Okay. So you need to be aware. So probably for me, I'm figuring the top 3 out of 5 are going to be in the first 10. I think that's 5 out of the 6 years. So I think that would be kind of my stopping point as far as deep research to try to find that RB. So 3 of them are sitting there, about 30% ish are sitting in the top 10 right now. Go look at your ADPs right now. 3 of them are going to really do well. So that means if 10 people take running backs, 3 of your league mates are going to do well. That means 7 are not going to do as well. So somebody's going to get disappointed, because everybody, all the 10, thinking they've got one of the top 5. And I just show you the data. You don't. Okay? You don't. 70% of you don't have a good RB. if your goat is one of the top 5. So I suggest you try to do research. And if you honestly think say you got pick 10 and you think, hey, my top RB is gone, people start grabbing tight ends, wide receivers at that point. That's what I've been doing in best ball. If I've been having a late draft, I've probably been grabbing Tyreek Hill or Kelsey or Diggs or somebody, because I'm figuring, most likely I have missed out on one of the top 5. I know there can extend down. Okay, I showed the previous data. You can look at that. But just on average, probably missed, 60% of the top 5, or 3 of the top 5 are probably gone by then. So I've missed it. So it's something I think I'm seeing in the best ball drafts. I think people are having a tendency not to grab an RB just because everybody did before. So that's how I'm handling that as well. This is fantasy points, just looking at trend lines. And I colored in yellow the trend lines from 15, 16, 17, and 18. And I looked at 19 and 20. And if you look at the top 6, okay, halfway through, come on. Okay. 2020 and 19 were really good years. Okay, really good years. So previous other years, so half of the years haven't been as good. See, look at the trend is much lower, closer to 15 than closer to 25. Big difference. Big difference. So yes, if I were grabbing the top 6, you're probably, getting a good shot at having a top 5 RB, and that's how I've been drafting. Okay? No use in getting crazy if you got a shot at one of the top 5 RBs. That's how I've been doing in best balls. But notice then, 20 and 19 have been fairly high. Okay, even down to the 30th. Now, 2020 kind of about right here. Yeah, probably about right there, about 28th. It starts going with the rest of them. And notice, look at the range here. Okay, the range. Look at the range here. Wow. Lots of variation here, less variation. Look at the range here. Okay. So what happens actually over time is your uncertainty levels actually go down, not go up, people think. So what that means is pretty much what you're grabbing is going to be close to what everybody else has in that same area. In other words, the instead of having a lot of good ones, you're having a lot of mediocre ones the further down you get. Okay, so you need to understand that as well. So if I was preparing, I think I would do a lot of digging for that home run, maybe that 5th top 5 that may slip through that deep. Try to find him. Maybe a handcuff, we don't know until the injury happens. Obviously I didn't say it was easy to find it, but that's let's just say you're going to do a lot of work, and most likely it's still not going to help you. I got to be honest with you. Okay. But at least, if you have some time, you might learn some other things that could be of use later, right? So it's always good to learn and to research. Okay. So that's the preseason ADP versus end of season fantasy points per game in running back. quarterbacks. I did this with quarterbacks. The purple block is the average over 54 picks, 54 ADP units. So you look at players above and below and kind of where that starts hitting versus the average. So look at the extreme failures. I mean, most likely you're not getting a lot of extreme failures in here. You are getting a tremendous failure rate here. Okay, you're getting a lot of success up here. Okay, and it starts calming down probably about 12. So after the 10th or 11th or 12th, if you get one, it's probably going to be here. You'll never get these top guys. It hasn't been done. I understand. This is the year it's done. Okay. Well, statistically, it would be a rarity to find one that everybody's missed from 12 to 30. Okay, at best, you're hitting, if you can hit at 20, you've done a great job. But like I said, even 18, was there 5, maybe 6 in this block? Hard pickings in here. I would definitely do some serious research in here. A lot of failures as well in that range. So a lot of failures, few success stories here. And notice, 36 through 54, 4 successes. Look at the failures. Okay, so if you think of the failures as people who have died, right, in a accident, a lot of them are, look at the bodies. Everybody's dead except 4. Sound like something out of a Walking Dead movie. Okay, so that's how it is. So your idea, so for about 30 down over the 6 years, we've only seen 4 above the average. Wow. You talking about hard to find. You talking about needle on the haystack. Yeah. You say, well, I've got all those every year. I'm that good. Great. You would be better than me. Congratulations. I would play early and often if I'm that good. But most people are picking average or below. That's what you're pulling out of the hat, right? You're not pulling the rabbit now, you're pulling the mice. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. And I graphed that. I did this first. So I color coded the above average in green, okay, and the below average in red. And notice in the top 10, there are some failures. Not many, but some. And clear is average. So there's probably more average than you think in the top 10. What is that? Let's say top 10, 3, 3, 3, 3, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 out of 60. So roughly 20, about a third. So a third of your picks, 3 of the top 10 running backs will be average. 3 of them. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 7 will be complete failures. So what is that? 7 out of 60, whatever that is. 10%? 10% are complete failures. Okay? So you got a lot against you. Notice the level of green after 30. Whew. I think I see 5. I may have missed that 5th one over that there. So if you go at 31 here, it's lean. Lots of failures here. You just need to understand what's going on for you. And what you're going to find is wide receivers are going to be better in that range than running backs as far as failures. We'll see that when I come to that lesson. Okay, we'll see that. Okay, this is a great chart. Love this chart. And in here I plotted above average in green, below average in red. And you can see about 30, we start seeing one here above average. And I just said, remember, this is not the block. The block was the standard deviation around the average. This is just above or below average. Gets lean here. Look at all the failures. Okay, so I think you're pretty much getting good news here, poor news there. I think that's a good takeaway. Sorry to burst your bubble if you didn't know that. Okay, or if you looked at 2020, you could have got skewed on your data, or if you listen, everybody's got the secret running backs, right, that are deep. Let me tell you, there's not many. Care what is said, folks. Look at the metrics. Look at the numbers. It is what it is. You can say, well, it's 50% good after 30. Well, that's not right. Okay, so they're not going to. These numbers would depress anybody. Okay, they depress me every time I see it. Okay, just tells me we got a lot of work to do to try to find those diamonds in the rough. Here they are. You get maybe one shot at them versus lots of failures. Okay, so anyway, my name is Dr. John Bush. This is the process, for good or for bad. I want to at least get you a foundation so that you're not surprised, right? Please don't say I'm surprised. If you've gone through all my lessons, you're not going to be surprised. You will be amazed at your league mates in the drafts, what they're going to do. And I think a lot of times just being conservative and let everybody else make mistakes is a good strategy. Everybody talking about zero RB, zero running back, zero wide receiver, late tight end, early tight, all these different strategies. Here's my strategy. Let everybody else make the mistakes. I'll stick average or try to hit above, and I think most likely I'll win if I play a lot of leagues. And I do play as many as I can play, sometimes 50, 60 or more. Okay. So, okay, this is the process. Dr. Bush signing off.